Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. I should probably sing a theme song. I have a theme song, but da-na-na-na-na-na. A friend of mine once said, "Is that your ringtone on your phone too?" I said, "Yeah." No, it's not. Real quick, be aware that I have another podcast called the Sovereign CEO Podcast that also comes out every week that discusses location-independent business, international lifestyle, and 5 flags, which is an important subset of the Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle. So you can go to calebjones.com or sovereignceo.io and click podcast, and you can subscribe to that podcast on all the usual happy, authoritarian, anti-free speech platforms. Yay! So just be aware of that. Today we're going to talk about introverts versus extrovert, because I've never done a deep dive on this. I get a lot of questions about this. It's a popular topic with a lot of you, and I think it's an important topic. And I'm not going to go into detail about things like Myers-Briggs or the Colby test. These are personality tests that you can take both online for free, or there are paid versions. By the way, if you join our SMIC program at joinsmic.com, we give those to you for free, the paid versions. Once you're a member for 60 days, because this is important information to know. I'm not going to go to deep dive on those. I'm just going to keep it more to introverts versus extroverts. So first thing, number one, top of the list, is to address those people who say there's no such thing, quote unquote. There's no such thing as introverts and extroverts. There's just no such thing. It's all made up and it's all bullshit. Wrong. Factually, objectively incorrect. There are indeed human beings who have their energy drained when they talk to people a lot. And there are people who gain energy when they talk to people a lot. And that is the definition of the introvert and the extrovert. We're not just talking here about shy people or outgoing people, because that's the source of confusion that people have. You can be a shy extrovert. That's my wife, Pink Firefly. She is an extrovert through and through, and she's shy. You can be a confident, outgoing, socially calibrated, socially capable, socially comfortable, socially confident introvert. That's me. I am an introvert. Now, if you talk to me, you would not be able to tell. And I'm going to describe how important that is a little later in this podcast. But if you met me in a social scenario, you would not think I'm an introvert. Literally. Because I am so confident and I'm so socially calibrated and I'm so outcome independent. I don't care what you think, so I can relax and just be myself. Matter of fact, I have had 1 or 2 people accuse me of saying, "You're not an introvert. You're not an introvert." Because they think introvert means shy and quiet and likes to be alone in the basement, in his mother's basement all day, and he's scared to talk to people. And extrovert's a big, loud, outgoing, confident guy. That's an extrovert. Wrong, 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 wrong. So that brings us to our definitions, which I alluded to earlier. Introvert or extrovert is where your energy comes from. If talking to people in real life, out in the real world for an extended period of time drains you, you are an introvert. If talking to people in the outside real world builds up your energy and excites you and makes you gain energy and gets you more excited and more happy, you are an extrovert. So I am an introvert. When I have scenarios, either in my social life or my business life, doesn't matter, when I do all-day workshops that are live, not on Zoom, but are live, but Zoom a little bit too, but certainly when it's live, talking to people, I'm talking to people all day long, or I have a weird social day where I'm talking to people all day long, by about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, certainly 6 o'clock, I feel drained. I feel like I've run a marathon. Because I've been talking to people, and talking to people drains me because I'm an introvert. Now, that doesn't mean I act drained. As you can tell, as you know, I'm a very high energy person. I have the testosterone of an 18-year-old man. I drink a lot of water. I get 8 hours of sleep every night. I have a lot of sex. My hormones are optimized at all optimal levels. I'm a very high energy person, very motivated guy, very happy person because I'm an Alpha Male 2.0. I have a strong mission that gives me very great importance and great meaning in my life. The women I have sex with are super hot. I travel the world to lots of interesting places. I live a great life, so I have a lot of energy. So you won't be able to tell at 4 o'clock that I'm drained because I have a lot of energy. But I am mentally and emotionally drained at the end of the day. And so when I have days where I do, live workshops or I'm around people all day, I have to go home and I have to be by myself. And that's the only way in which I can recharge my batteries. I can't go home and talk to my wife for 6 hours. That won't recharge me because unfortunately she's a human being. I have to be alone. I have to go away, lock myself in my little man cave, work or do whatever, read a book, go on a walk by myself. It doesn't matter what I do, but I have to go be alone so I can recharge. If you're an extrovert, that sounds insane to you. That's the opposite. So if you're an extrovert, especially if you're an extreme extrovert, being alone drains you. Matter of fact, I have dated women who were extreme extroverts and they couldn't be alone. I don't mean they couldn't be alone in that they couldn't have a boyfriend. They literally couldn't be alone. They had to be around other human beings all the fucking time. And on rare occasions, if they lived alone or if they lived with a roommate who was usually not there, they would go out and go hang out with other people. They'd go to work, they'd go hang out with friends, they'd go hang out with family. They always had to be around other people because they liked that high energy. When they're alone, they felt drained, at least over time. Now, does that mean if you're an extrovert, you don't like being alone? That's not true. I'm talking about, those are extreme examples. Many extroverts really enjoy being alone for a little while. For a little while. They don't want to be alone all day. They don't want to be alone for a week. That would drain their energy. But they do enjoy it for a while. I'm an introvert. I like talking to people for a while, especially one-on-one conversations. I enjoy those a lot. Now, do I want one-on-one conversations all day fucking long? No, I don't. That would be draining for me. I have days like that in my business life, sometimes my personal life, not often, but those drain me. But I do like talking to people, especially if people are smart and interesting. I enjoy it a lot. So it's not like I hate being around people. That's not what introvert means. That's what recluse means. That's what hermit means. Yes, there are some people who hate being around people. These are angry, unhappy people. These are not introverts. They might also be introverts, but that's not what it means to be an introvert. Just like there are plenty of extroverts who are real hardcore extroverts who really enjoy their alone time occasionally. That's okay, just not too much of it. They don't want to be alone all day. That'd be draining. See how this works? Now, next aspect of this. You do not want to utilize your extrovert-introvert classification as an excuse for negative behavior. What do I mean by that? It is not unusual for me to hear from guys who say, I can't learn dating skills or I'm not good at dating girls because I'm an introvert. In my business life, I have heard guys say to me, well, I'm really disorganized and I'm constantly late for appointments or I'm constantly behind on my projects because I'm an extrovert. You are making excuses, you're being a liar, and you're being a pussy in both those cases. These are not valid excuses for negative conditions in your life. You can be an introvert and be amazing at women. Example, me. I have known a lot of other pickup artist type guys who are introverts who are amazing with women. In the business world, I have personally known and personally met and worked with amazing salespeople, full 100% commission salespeople who made 7-figure incomes selling stuff on commission who were introverts. They didn't sit around and say, I could never sell stuff. I'm an introvert. That's bullshit. That is wrong. Being an introvert can be a strength. Being an extrovert can be a strength. And yes, I have known people who are very organized and very focused extroverts. A celebrity example of that would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not only an extrovert, he is an off the fucking chart extrovert, but he's very organized and he's very focused. He's very internally driven. He's awesome. He's a good example of an amazing man, minus the one problem he had in his marriage a few years ago. But if you ever use your introvert status or extrovert status personality type as an excuse for some kind of recurring problem in your life, you are not only wrong, you are fucking lying and you're making excuses. These kinds of things can be overcome regardless of whether or not you're an introvert or an extrovert. You can be an introvert and make a 7-figure income selling shit and banging tons of hot girls via cold approach day game. You can do that. You can be an extrovert and be as organized as me and have spreadsheets and plans and morning routines and goals and objectives and dates that you actually make, deadlines. You can be a total extrovert and have all those things. You can do that. Introvert or extrovert is never an excuse for bad behavior or recurring problems. It's just you being a lazy pussy and making excuses because you don't want to put in the fucking work to make your life better. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the objectives you should have as an introvert or an extrovert. I've mentioned this before. I'm going to go into detail about it now. If you are an introvert, in my opinion, your goal should be to get to the point where people can't tell. In other words, where I am. You want to be so socially comfortable, so socially confident, and most importantly, so socially outcome independent, where you don't give a fuck what other people think, and you can just completely be yourself, and you don't care if they think you're stupid or weird or dumb or what have you. You can just totally be yourself and be totally casual and relaxed when you talk to people. They can't tell that you're an introvert. If you are an introvert with a high level of social skill and social confidence, it's kind of like being Superman. It's kind of like having a superpower, because now you have all the advantages of being an introvert: organized, driven, maybe focused, maybe more intelligent, although that's kind of a generalization. Introverts aren't smarter than extroverts, but you know what I'm saying. You have all those advantages, plus you have the advantages of the extrovert, because you're socially calibrated and you're socially skilled. All the things that means: better with women, better in life, better in business, higher income. I mean, if you're socially calibrated, there's numerous benefits to all aspects of your life if you have that skill set. So if you're an introvert, your goal in life, in my opinion, one of your primary goals should be to get to the point socially where people can't tell. And let me talk for a minute about outcome independence, because that's an important part of it. A lot of introverts are not very good socially because they're worried about what other people will think of them in a social scenario. They'll think that, well, maybe if I say this, he might think I'm dumb. Or maybe if I say this, he might not think I'm cool. Or maybe if I say this, she might think I'm beta. Or maybe if I say this, she might think I'm weird. Or maybe if I say this, she won't want to have sex with me. Or maybe if, and maybe that, and maybe this, and maybe that. Outcome independent. Stop giving a fuck. And as I've said many times, being outcome independent on things like first and second dates is the single most attractive, non-physical quality a man can have to women. When you are super outcome independent, women will be attracted to you and they won't even know why. And the better looking the women are, the more outcome independence works. So if she's a 9 or a 10, your outcome independence, when she feels, and she can obviously see, you're nice and polite, but you don't give a rat fuck what she thinks of you, she will get turned on at least a little bit, or at very minimum, she'll be curious. It works. It works well. Same thing in business, same thing in other social aspects. I am at a point in my life now where I have entered into a financial zone where I have been accused by a few people now of being nouveau riche. And if you don't know what that means, that is a derogatory French term. It means new rich. And it means people who, how do I explain this? You have old money, people who have been wealthy their whole lives, or they've been born into wealth, and they're very fancy like that, and they're very hoity-toity, and they dress a certain way, and they act a certain way. And then you have people with money who are like me. So I'm basically, like Conan the Barbarian when I walk into a fancy party, and my wife, Pink Firefly, walks behind me, and she's walking like the mom in Married with Children. I'm exaggerating. But they take, I start talking like, hey, how you doing? What the fuck? I don't care. And they take a look at her and they go, oh my God, nouveau riche. Caleb, you're very new money. I've had 3 or 4 people now tell me this. One or two are trying to be nice, and 1 or 2 were not being nice. But I don't give a fuck. And it's great. I don't care. And that's why people assume that I'm probably not an introvert, probably an extrovert, even though I'm actually an introvert, because I don't care what people think. It's kind of nice. So if you're an introvert, get to the point where you don't give a fuck about what other people think about you. Get the Unchained Man. I have a whole section there on outcome independence. I believe I have another section on that in my book, Get to Sex Fast at gettosexfast.com. But work on that. It might take a little work, but it's a goal you should have. Now, let's flip the script. Let's flip over to if you are an extrovert, my extrovert friends. You have a very different goal. Your goal, if you're an extrovert, is to get to the point where you can be as focused and organized as an introvert. So if you're an extrovert and you have one of those introvert friends and they're like, they're nerdy guy who's at home and he has all these plans, and maybe he's a successful business owner, maybe he's a successful crypto trader or something, and he's really organized and he's really focused, and he can sit at his computer and focus for like 4 hours and go through numbers and processes. And you're an extrovert, so you're like, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish, but I'm an extrovert, so I can't. Wrong. You need to get to the point where you can sit down and fucking focus like an introvert can, and be organized like an introvert is, like I am. So in other words, it's almost the reverse. If you're an introvert, you want to get to the point where in social scenarios, people think you're an extrovert. If you're an extrovert, you want to get to the point where when you sit down and work, and if someone actually goes through your laptop and looks at how you're organized, they're going to think you're an introvert, even though you're an extrovert. Because again, then you're like a superhuman. Then you have the superpower of being an extrovert. You're naturally skilled with people. You're naturally confident with people, usually naturally likable. You're at home. You're at ease in social scenarios, which is a huge strength to have. I mean, you're very lucky to be an introvert. That's awesome. You have social skills that I had to learn. I say that about my son, Josh. My son, Josh, he's an extrovert. And by age 5, he had social skills I didn't have until I was in my 30s because he was a natural extrovert. He's naturally charismatic. I had to work on being a natural, quote unquote, in social scenarios, being charismatic, because I didn't have that. I was a nerdy introvert for most of my, childhood, teenage years, early 20s, things like that. So again, it's a strength to be an extrovert. But you're probably not as organized. You're probably not as focused as an introvert is, right? Right. And so you want to get to the point where you are, and that just takes practice. Practice. Take it slow, start slow, do some planning, right? Figure out a project, write it down, put it in Excel. I know you probably don't like Excel, but put it in Excel, put it on Word, start some plans, and take actions every day to achieve those plans, and make sure you stick with it and don't get shiny object syndrome. Let me address that. A lot of you fucking extroverts, and some of you are introverts too, but most of you are extroverts on this. You have shiny object syndrome. You'll start a project, you'll be all excited, and then you'll see a video on YouTube about some new thing. You'll go, oh shit, that's awesome. And then you'll go to that. And then you'll be super excited about that and you'll work on that. And then you see another thing. Your friend will say, hey, have you heard about da-da-da-da? Have you heard about Cardano? What's Cardano? And you'll go over there. Oh, this is fucking awesome. All right. And then you'll go over here and go over there and go over here and go over there. And 3 or 4 years have gone by and you've accomplished nothing. Okay? Because you're not focused. Focus. 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 My general rule of thumb is that you work on a new business at least 18 months before you consider doing something else. And when I say work on a new business, this is just a business example. That doesn't mean you're dabbling in it. You're actually working on it. You have products, information, services, what have you. You've chosen the niche. You have all the infrastructure set up. You're actually marketing it. You're working with customers. You're doing all that good stuff. Before you make any major changes, you focus on that for at least 18 months. That way, you're not going to switch businesses every 2 or 3 fucking months, which is what I see extroverts do all the goddamn time. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes kind of heartbreaking, because I know a lot of you guys in my audience are extroverted and you're really smart and you're really talented. You're smart, intelligent, talented extroverts, but you're not accomplishing anything because you can't stick with any project for more than about 3 fucking months. And you could be making 6-figure incomes, 7-figure incomes, far beyond your introvert friend if you just fucking focused on one thing for a while. So practice that and get good at that. That's your goal as an extrovert. Now, let me address women in terms of this. Generally speaking, opposites do attract in terms of extroverts or introverts. So if you're an introvert, generally speaking, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, you will probably be attracted to women who are extroverts. It's certainly true with me. If you are an extrovert guy, you will usually, not always, but usually be attracted to women who are more introverted. Opposites do tend to attract in terms of introvert-extrovert. Just be aware of this dynamic. And when you get into a serious relationship, that would be a high-end MLTR or OLTR, be aware of the things you're going to have to do in that relationship in terms of communication styles and things like that to be able to communicate to this woman in your life who has the opposite personality type as you, extrovert or introvert. If you're an extrovert and she's an introvert, you don't want to go there and just start shooting your mouth off and start talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I've seen a lot of guys do this. They're extroverted guys with their introverted girlfriends when they're dating. They sit on the couch and they get in the restaurant and the guy just starts talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking like a chick. He won't shut the fuck up. And the woman just goes, oh my God, too much because she's an introvert. She can't handle that shit. Be aware of that. Be aware of that tendency you have in terms of relating to women in serious relationships. Also, by the way, on things like first dates. Okay, what have I said for first dates? The woman needs to do 80% of the talking. If you're an extrovert, that's going to be hard for you. It's going to be real, and it is. I've seen these guys, they try so hard. They try not to talk. These goddamn extroverts who just want to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. You got to shut the fuck up, bro, and let her talk. And that also applies even more so to serious relationships. Now, let me reverse that. If you're an introverted guy, okay, and you're dating a woman who is an extrovert, she'll be the one who's talking and talking and talking and talking. And you're going to just go, oh, this is too much. You got to be cool with it. You just got to go, okay, and just take it in stride. Just relax, take some deep breaths. Maybe have your mind wander a little bit. Probably not a great idea, but you can do that if your woman talks a lot. I am married to a woman who talks a lot. Pink Firefly can fucking talk for 5 hours straight. She did that once when we were dating. We were in a really fancy restaurant. We were there for 5 hours. She talked the whole fucking time. The whole fucking time, talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, because she's an extrovert, okay, and I'm an introvert. And I just went, yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you, maybe 40% of the time I was thinking about work or, thinking about various things while she's talking and talking and talking and talking. That's fine. Just listen, or at least pretend to listen. It's fine. And you know what's really funny? At the end of that date, she looked at me, she says, it was really cute. She said, other than my mom, I can talk to you in a way that I can't talk to anyone else, and I've never been able to talk to anyone else in my entire life. No wonder we got married. And she's hot. That helps too. But that's my point. I understood I was talking to an extrovert, and I understood as an introvert, as a socially calibrated introvert, that I'm going to have to listen to women talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, even if it's about shit I don't care about. And I just nod my head and go, oh yeah, yeah. And now it's helped that I've gone on a number of first, second, third dates that have gone well into the triple digits. So I'm quite used to listening to women talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So I have a lot of practice doing this. But that's my point. You need to practice this too. You need to practice listening to your extroverted girlfriends, MLTRs, OLTRs, FBs, what have you, talk a lot and be okay with that. There are guys who are some introverts, I've talked to some of you, who you just go crazy. You just can't stand it. You get all pissed off. Women are talking all the time and they need to shut up and they need to focus and get down to the bottom line. And no, that's not how extroverted women work. And if you don't like that, then date introverted women like you. Now, let me address that for a minute. It is possible for an introverted man to date an introverted woman. I've dated a few introverted girls. I've done it, and they were wonderful, wonderful people. The dynamic was a little different, but I've done it. It is doable. You can be an extroverted guy and date an extroverted woman. You'll both be talking and talking and talking. It's hilarious. I've seen couples like this. They're both just going a mile a minute. It's so fucking funny. But it can happen. It is possible, depending on your personality and depending on what kind of traits you like in women. So that is possible. You can do that. Also, extrovert and introvert is a scale. You could be an extreme extrovert. You can be a mild extrovert. You can be extreme introvert. You can be a mild introvert. So I'm a mild introvert. And Pink Firefly is a mild extrovert. Well, maybe not. If she could talk for 5 hours straight, maybe she's not a mild extrovert. She's a shy extrovert. Let's say that. I don't think she's a mild extrovert. I don't think you'd talk for 5 hours and be a mild extrovert. She's going to love this podcast if she listens to it. But my point is, you could be an extreme extrovert and date a mild extrovert. Or you could be a mild extrovert and date a woman who's an extreme extrovert. You could do that. That's perfectly doable, again, depending on what you like. One last thing about this in terms of women. If you date an extreme version of one of these, if you date an extreme extrovert, you need to be prepared for the things that she's going to go out in her life and do. I have had a few women in my life who were not only extroverts, extreme extroverts. And especially when they're young and or pretty, they're going to be out hooking up with other guys. They're going to be out hanging out with guys, flirting with guys, having lots of friends, having lots of drama with their friends and their family because they're extreme extroverts. If you date a woman who's an extreme introvert, she'll be home all day. My daughter's that kind of. My daughter's an extreme introvert. She's home all day long. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She'll be one of these nerd girls on her computer all the time, and you got to be cool with that or you should date someone else. So just be aware of the negatives of these extreme personality types. If the woman is an extreme extrovert or an extreme introvert, and if you don't like that, then don't date her more than an FB. Keep those women at an FB level and date what you like. I've said this 1,000 times. Don't feel like you're locked into this woman, and don't get one-itis. Cool? Cool. All right. It's a very big topic. If you want me to discuss this more in terms of extroverts, introverts, and tactics for both, let me know in the comments or my email, theonlyblackdragon@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on all the various social media sites, and I will see you in the next podcast. Have fun.